Alright guys, so today is Sunday for me and I'm gonna be recording this video for you guys. This has been a requested video by you guys for a couple of weeks now, maybe 2 weeks. You guys have asked me about the removed ships and to talk about them briefly, at least. I'll basically be going through these ships, this list of ships right here. This list was drawn up from not only me, but I asked Discord about it and asked if we can add on some ships or remove some ships, depending on what people thought. And this is the final list we got of like removed ships from the game. And I'll be talking briefly about each one. I won't be playing it in this video at least, but we might be playing them in other videos, of course, and I can show them to you depending on which one you really want to see. So, but let's start off today. I'm gonna be going through like tier by tier, okay? Not really class by class, just tier by tier, and then we'll be talking briefly as well about each one. I don't think I'll be showing the build for each one because that will take too long. If you guys want the build for the tier 8s upwards, you can go on my Discord. They're all there. The link is in the description to the Discord server. All the builds are there and available for free. Or if you have any questions about the video, either ask me in the comments or come on Twitch and ask me right there when I'm live. But anyway, hopefully I'll try upload this by this week, by Monday or Tuesday. So anyway, let's start off. So this is Smaland. As you know, of course, here's the name of the ship, top right. This one was removed for being over popular, I believe, but I'm pretty sure it was removed for being too strong. Here you go. So what does it do? Basically, as you can see from the consumables here, it's a radar destroyer, 7.5 kilometer range. It has a heal. It has a super speed boost, 30%, but short duration, and of course a damage control. Its concealment's pretty decent, not on this build, but it's pretty decent when you build it accordingly, 6.1. This one, really and truly, is really good at knife fighting other destroyers. It's wonderful. It has radar. It has decent torpedoes. The torpedoes aren't really to walk home about or anything, because they're relatively fast torps. The range is okay, but the damage is very low, so I wouldn't really bother with those. The main aspect of the ship that you should be using is the guns. As you can see, 1.4 second reload. The gun range is including AFT, yes. The HP is 22,000. This is a wonderful destroyer. It got removed, of course, because it was too strong. Mostly every ship on this list is going to get removed because it was too strong. So I'm not going to stay repeating myself and say this ship was removed because it was too strong or something. Just assume it. Or over popularity, one of the two. But mostly, you know, if a ship is being removed for over popularity, it's probably being removed because it's over popular, because it's too strong. So there you go. So this is Smaland, wonderful ship. Let's move over to Thunder. This is the Thunder tier 10 Royal Navy battleship. When it was added, I mean, broken, of course. Why? You might ask. Well, it has 12.3 detection. That's cruiser concealment. Well, okay, it's the same as Conqueror, but the maneuverability on this one actually has legendary mod Conqueror maneuverability, whilst also keeping the concealment. Conqueror doesn't get to do that, so it gets cruiser maneuverability, 10.4 second rudder shift, whilst also keeping cruiser concealment. You also have decent AA. It's nothing to, like, you know, be crazy about. But anyway, the most important thing about the ship is the guns. They're really accurate. Good reload, 22.9 as you can see. Crazy gun range. I mean, 21.5 isn't as much as when it came out. I believe it got nerfed after it got removed. But here you go, 21.5 kilometer range. It got a double nerf, but it's still very strong. HP pool, 82,000, nothing crazy high, and its heal isn't as big as Conqueror, sorry, but it still gets an improved heal. Yes. What's its biggest weakness? I would say it's covered in 32mm armor. I guess that could be said as the biggest weakness of the ship, because you can get farmed by quite a fair amount of things, right? But that's pretty much it. Very wonderful ship, very easy to use, and very overpowered. Let's move over to Smolensk. So this one, of course, everyone knows this one. This one was really broken when it came out. Even more broken than it is right now, and I'll explain why. Right now, with the full build at range, of course, you can put range mod on, as you can see with my range mod right now. I have 16 kilometer gun range, correct? And 4.5 second reload. Well, back when it came out, Smolensk was able to put reload mod on. And you used to be able to put BFT on the captain skill. There was a captain skill which buffed reload. And you could put AFT on it, like a destroyer, right? So you could buff the gun range from the captain. And you take reload mod in equipment. And you take BFT from the captain. But nowadays you can't do that. So you have to, by law, take the range mod if you want the gun range. And before, you actually used to get more gun range with AFT. You used to get 16.6. So it got a nerf on gun range, and it got a nerf on reload. So 2 nerfs. It also, back originally, it used to have 27 millimeters of pen with IFHE. So you used to be able to power farm Le Moynes. Nowadays you can't either, because even if you put IFHE, you won't be able to pen. So worthless kind of skill. Honestly, don't take it. It's relatively okay in top speed. It's relatively like average, I would say. And then detection is really good, 10 kilometer. But like I said, this is still a really good ship. I'm just saying originally it was even more broken. Like way more broken. What's the wonderful thing about Smolensk? Well, it gets smokescreen and it gets hydro. So, unlike Jinan, for example, which just gets smoke, no hydro, or Colbert, which gets hydro and no smoke. This one gets hydro and smoke, so you can sit comfy in your smoke and not be scared about getting, like, smashed by torpedoes. But that's the Smolensk. Let's move over to Somers. Somers is a destroyer I personally don't really like because it's a torp boat. I don't really like torp boats. Some of you might be mad about me or at me because I said that, but I don't really like torp boats as much as gunboats. So here we are. Somers is actually relatively really fast. It's a very fast destroyer. It doesn't really get any crazy consumables, just American smokescreen and speed boost. But its gimmick is its fact that it gets 3 sets of 4 torps, gearing torps, 16 5s. You get 3 racks of those. So you get, I believe, 12 torps instead of gearing's 10. You get those. And your guns are, I would say, worse than gearing by a lot. The reload, as you can see, 5.7, really bad reload. HP pool is pretty much similar. But I personally don't like this one because it feels like it's trying to be too much of a torp boat for me, for randoms. I don't like that. Its concealment's pretty okay for tier 10, 5.8. Like, I'm sure if you have this one, you enjoy it, but I personally do not. So I do not actually play it too much. Moving over to Musashi, the first tier 9 here. So Musashi originally was released for free XP. It was basically a Yamato at tier 9 with a bigger hull. But nowadays Musashi and Yamato have a very similar hull because they changed the hull design or the size of the Yamato. Its weakness compared to Yamato is the fact that it has worse dispersion, but I'm able to put reload mod on this one, which I don't put on Yamato, so I actually get a better reload on this one. Its concealment is the same if you put a captain on it, of course. Here you go. Maneuverability, similar. It's pretty much just a Yamato with worse dispersion at tier 9. That's pretty much the Musashi, so it's basically a tier 10 at tier 9. Let's move over to Benham. This one is also another ship I don't really enjoy. Similar to Somers, I would say. It's a torp boat. Of course, you get a lot of torps and they reload really quickly. For a torp player, these are wonderful to use, guys. This is a perfect destroyer. You would love to play this thing, of course, but I personally don't like it because it's a torp boat, so I don't really play it too much. Its concealment is a bit worse than competition at tier 9, but it gets, let's see how many torps, 16, I believe, torpedoes. You get a lot of torps, quick reload, Fletcher torps, pretty good. The gun power is pretty bad as well, similar to Somers, but this is even worse because you get four guns, so nothing too crazy, and a standard American smoke, so that's fine. But yeah, that's the Benham. USS Black, this one was removed because I believe they changed from steel ships to coal ships and Black wasn't reintroduced yet. Apparently they're trying to change it. Recently they announced a nerf for USS Black by 3 seconds on its radar duration, so we're gonna have to see that. But anyway, its concealment 5.8, very interesting. Guns 5, just the same as Fletcher, same guns as Fletcher. Equipment, so basically you get to choose between engine boost, DFA, or surveillance radar. I personally take the surveillance radar, obviously. I mean, there's no point to take engine boost or DFA. I mean, if you're gonna take engine boost, just play Fletcher, because then it's just a worse Fletcher. This is because your torpedoes, as you can see, if you actually spotted that or you know about this already, your range is actually higher than Fletcher's. But as you can see, the damage is also higher than Fletcher's and the spotting. But the biggest issue with these torps is they go 45 knots, which is, I mean, borderline unhittable. So this isn't really a torp boat. You would play it as a radar gun spotting DD. It's very team play oriented. I like this one. But I actually end up hitting quite a fair amount of torps in this one, right? You can still hit torps with it. Another big issue, apart from the torpedoes being really slow, the ship itself is really slow. It's basically the same speed as like similar cruisers at tier 9. Some cruisers can actually outrun you, so you have to be really careful. Even in like a lot of battleships can outrun you, so you have to be really careful. Not a lot, but like at least John Barr and Georgia and Prince Heinrich probably can actually outrun you, and Alsace and stuff. Actually, maybe not Alsace, because Alsace is relatively slower compared to the others. But here you go. Maximum speed 35. You can put a speed flag on, bring it up a bit. But this is, again, wonderful gunboat, wonderful team play ship, but horrible as a, you know, tour boat. So let's look at Alaska. This one's also a wonderful ship. Everyone loves this one, of course. I personally don't play it too much because I don't really enjoy the super heavy cruiser playstyle, which is slow reload and stuff. But again, it's wonderful as a ship. Very, very, very strong. Was removed because it was too strong, I assume. 36mm armor up here on the deck, and then 28 side, and then 27 nose and stuff. Pretty good armor. Decent. I mean, it's not crazy reload, but it's decent for the caliber it has. The AP has improved angles. Good HP pool. The speed is same as other cruisers at the tier. Concealment, pretty decent for the size of the ship. The AA is okay. I mean, this is a good ship overall. A wonderful ship. Has radar 10 kilometer. Hydro, heal. I mean, it's pretty good. If you like the battle cruiser playstyle, it's very good. One of the main weaknesses you have to keep in mind is the arcs of the shells. The shells do take quite a while to reach the enemy target, but that's pretty much it, really. That's pretty much it, except for that and having relatively bad DPM. I mean, it's a super heavy cruiser. You're not expecting it to be a DPM powerhouse, but it's a really good ship. This one's wonderful. Missouri. So, Missouri. Well, Missouri, people have different opinions with the Missouri because it's just... Back in the day when it came out, I guess people think it got stealth nerfed. I mean, I'm not going to say yes or no about that, but people think it got stealth nerfed in terms of accuracy on the guns. But that's not the biggest issue I find with it. The biggest issue is, compared to Iowa, is the fact that the heal is actually smaller than Iowa's. Because this is a pre-buff Iowa heal. Missouri never actually got the Iowa heal buff, but here we are. So what the first is from Iowa, except for the worst heal, it gets radar, which is quite interesting. So you get a 9.5 kilometer radar, which isn't that long in terms of range, but I guess it's quite enough sometimes when you're rushing like a Minotaur in a smoke or a Neptune in a smoke. You just need the radar really quickly. It's relatively long duration. It's the standard duration, I believe, so 42 seconds there. Still a pretty good battleship. I still love playing it for credit reasons, obviously. I have the old version, so this actually prints the full credit income. Or not the full, but the new credit income Wargaming gave it. So it's not one of the new Missouris, which doesn't have that. It's the original Missouri. And Missouri is interesting here. I want to show you the camos for it. So normally I would use this camo. This was the original camo it came out for. This was originally a free XP ship, by the way. I forgot to mention. But there's also this perma camo, which is similar to the Iowa's one, and the newly released festive Missouri, which actually makes it look quite interesting. Georgia. Let's look at the Georgia. All right, so this is another American battleship which was removed. Why was this one removed? Well, I believe this one... Well, sorry, I forgot to mention why Missouri was removed. Missouri was removed because of its... I believe it was the credit output it had. That's why it was originally removed. But anyway, let's move over to Georgia. Georgia was removed, I believe, because it was too strong or over popular, which is basically the same thing. So here we have a big speed boost, 15%, which makes it go really fast. It can go, if you put brisk on it, it'll go over 40 knots. It has the Massachusetts style heal, Ohio style heal, where the cooldown is only 40 seconds. So you get quick cooldowns. They are smaller heals than, for example, Iowa's and stuff. But still, really good heal. I mean, in terms of cooldown, obviously. Swatter plane, so you get more gun range. I put the range mod on because I don't really see the need to put a turret rotation. And range mod gives you better dispersion, and so does this. You could also put the reload mod on. Anyway, speed boost. Biggest thing of the Georgia is the 457mm guns. These overmatch 30mm on cruisers, and therefore you can do damage at any angle against, for example, a Des Moines, who has 30mm deck armor. You don't really care about that, so you'll do damage at any angle. It also has, I believe, improved dispersion because it only has 6 guns. Its concealment isn't too crazy, it's okay. The biggest downside of the Georgia, I would say, is the superstructure here, because it's actually really farmable from any angle, because it's gigantic. And that's pretty much it, honestly. That's pretty much it, really. Its HP pool is pretty standard for tier 9. Its guns reload relatively quickly. The guns are very wonderful, there's nothing to complain about. the guns. It's just a good ship overall, I would say. Georgia, for sure. That's why it was removed. Kronshtadt. Kronshtadt is a ship I don't really actually enjoy. I tried playing it recently, I just couldn't. The dispersion on it sometimes is really like decent and sometimes is really bad. Now, what was this released for? Again, so Georgia was coal or cash. Kronshtadt was just free XP. Again, this was another free XP ship which was removed. And we have the ability to put DFA or spotter plane. I put spotter plane on this ship. This is one of the only ships that can actually put spotter plane instead of a radar, for example. Normally, you would be able to put spotter plane instead of radar, but on this one, you can put spotter plane and radar, which is quite interesting. But anyway, here you have radar 12 kilometer. It's pretty much the Russian one, of course. Heel. The armor plating on it isn't too tanky, as you can see. 25mm nose. It's not like Stalingrad or Moscow or Riga, where they have icebreakers, or Petro. This is more... well, I don't really know what to compare it to, but it's a standard heavy cruiser at tier 9 where they don't really have icebreakers. And 25 back, and you have 27 deck and stuff. It's a good ship, but well, it's not that good. I don't really like it too much, but I can see the interest in it for sure. I can see why people would want to play it. It can be fun when the dispersion works. The dispersion is a bit all over the place sometimes, but I mean, you have decent concealment, decent maneuverability, a good HP pool. The guns reload relatively quickly, 16 seconds for the caliber of the gun. Again, decent ship, decent ship. It's okay. Why it was removed, I actually don't know why this one was removed. Probably because they wanted to replace it with something else, but I don't think it was because it was game breaking. That's for sure. I don't think this is game breaking. This one was fine. John Bar. So, for John Bar, this one's actually a very wonderful ship at tier 9. Very wonderful. Why? Well, it has reload booster. It has heal. Well, obviously, it's a battleship that has heal. But it has speed boost too, right? 8%. The speed, I don't think it's as fast as Georgia. I don't think so. Because its stock speed is actually slower. But, again, the gun reload is 22.9. These are 380mm guns, so they don't overmatch crazy amounts. But remember, you can face tier 7s in these things, so yeah. Concealment is decent, I believe. 12.9, nothing too crazy, but it's okay. And the fact is, all your turrets are on the front, so you can basically play like this in Jambar. But you don't want to play like this all the time. Remember, guys, if you're losing a flank, please don't stay bow in your ship. Sometimes you must angle like this and just shoot like this over your shoulder, basically. Because sometimes you have to run away. Don't always be bow in, because sometimes you're just gonna get power farmed, okay? The armor of it is actually all 32. That's another weakness of the ship. Nothing too crazy or write home about, but there you go. That's pretty much a Jambar. Wonderful ship because of the reload booster. You can farm with HE or AP. The AP is pretty good and the HE is fine on angle targets. It's important to use different ammo types depending on the angle of the target, especially with a caliber this low. Next is Friesland. So with Friesland, I'm not really going to talk about this too much. We already talked about Groningen in the other video. I just wanted to mention that it was removed from the game because they wanted to replace it with the Groningen, right? That's basically the reason they wanted to remove this. Nothing really extra about it. It's still in the game. If you want to buy it, you buy the Groningen. How to find it? You go into tech tree and then you find Groningen in the Dutch line, right? So that's pretty much how you find it. And that's it. Or you can buy it from the premium shop with money or doubloons from the armory. But I would get it for free XP. Again, this is probably one of the best free XP ships you can get right now. It is the best free XP ship you can get right now, the Groningen. So I would get it. But anyway, let's move over to Asashio. So Asashio, it came out a while ago, a long time ago. What's crazy about this? Well, it gets smoke and TRB, which isn't really common on destroyers. Normally you have to pick between smoke and TRB, but this one gets both smoke and TRB. But it's basically a clone of Kagero in terms of guns and HP and concealment. But there's one big thing that changes it, which is the torpedoes, right? So the torpedoes, these aren't normal Kagero torps. These are 20-kilometer, pretty fast torps that are really stealthy. But they have a big downside, and that is they can only hit battleships and carriers. They're not like Pan-Asian torpedoes where they can hit cruisers and cruisers, battleships, and carriers. They can own these ones only can hit battleships and carriers. So if you're in a game with like 2 battleships and only like destroyers and cruisers, you're gonna find it really hard. But when you're in a game with 5 battleships, for example, you're gonna find it really easy to do damage to them. Like really easy. 5.4 detection, really wonderful ship, unless you get bad matchmaking in it. But it was removed. I don't know why. Again, probably too strong or something, because of the ability it has. But there you go. Massachusetts, pretty good ship as well. Still really good. I played it recently on stream. We got a Kraken. We played it for 1 game. We got a Kraken. Now it has the same heal characteristic as Georgia and Ohio, where it gets a quick 40-second cooldown. This gets a spotter plane, you know, DCP. This has cool secondaries and stuff, which is something I forgot to mention about Georgia. If you want to build it for secondaries, you totally can. This one, the Mass, I built it for secondaries. If I put the captain on, of course, here you go. 10.8, and then you can put a secondary flag. I believe I don't have that on right now. So if I put it on, you can have 11.3 secondary range. Yes, you can. 406mm guns, very good caliber. At tier 8, 66,000 HP. Relatively fast at tier 8. It's good. It's a good ship. AA is decent. It's a wonderful ship. So, if you have this one, good. 46% torp protection damage reduction as well. So, very crazy numbers here. Anyway, Enterprise. I don't really want to talk about this too much. I don't really play carriers, so I can't really talk about this. I know it was too strong because I think it was the rockets. The rockets were an issue, and the dive bombers were an issue. But yeah, I don't really know what to say about this because I don't really play carriers too much. But here you go. This is what the ship looks like. Here you go. Very nice. Yeah, the ship looks nice, okay? Carriers do look nice like this one, but I mean, I wouldn't play them myself. But there you go. The next ship we'll be talking about here is the Kutuzov, the Admiral Kutuzov. This is a ship which is quite interesting because originally, I believe the reason it has so much gun range and the gun reload's a bit better than Irian is because back in the day they could put AFT on their Kutuzov and it could increase the gun range, so they decided to keep the ship the same and give it the 19-kilometer gun range. So nowadays it still has 19-kilometer gun range, right? Its concealment is 11.4, nothing too crazy to be honest, but it's okay. It's a light cruiser, so you would expect some better concealment, but there's a big reason why it doesn't really get crazy concealment, and that's the fact that it gets a smoke screen. Originally, Kutuzov could sit in the smoke screen without ever being scared of getting spotted inside the smoke screen, but nowadays it does have smoke shooting, so I believe you get spotted around 7 kilometers smoke shooting penalty, but there you go. This is a smoke cruiser with hydro at tier 8. The torpedoes are longer range than Chapayev. But yeah, it's basically reminds me of a Chapayev with more gun range and similar reload, but basically better torps and smoke instead of the radar. There you go. That's Kutuzov. Yeah, let's move over to the Lenin. Lenin is also another really good battleship. At tier 8, they removed it because I believe it was too strong. I know I said I'm not going to say this every time, but I feel like I forget sometimes. It has the Russian DCP. It's very similar to Vladivostok, except all 3 turrets are up front. So, and I think it has worse concealment than Vladivostok. Yeah, I believe so. But yeah, it's very similar to Vladivostok, but I think this has better dispersion. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe it has better dispersion. And this is the Lenin. There you go. Cheshire. This is a ship I actually personally don't mind. I actually enjoyed playing it. This one might not be considered as a removed ship, by the way, but it's not in the store and people told me to add it to the list. So here we are talking about the Cheshire. So the Cheshire, it reminds me of Goliath, but at tier 8. If you know the Tech Tree Albemarle, this isn't really too different from the Albemarle, except these guns are Goliath guns, except you only get 6, not 12. So you get 6 guns on this one instead of Goliath's 12, but the reload's also quicker at 12 seconds. The speed is okay. It's relatively fast, actually. The concealment is really good for a heavy cruiser. This is a heavy cruiser, but the armor scheme is really... It reminds me of a light cruiser, but... Actually, the armor on the center is pretty good. 30mm deck at tier 8 is pretty good, and 27 side isn't too bad. Equipment. I'm using Hydro, of course. You can mount DFA if you so wish. But the biggest thing is you have an improved heal. It's a super heal. It's a British super heal. Very wonderful. Very good. I like it. The biggest issue with it is it's very squishy. Even at this angle, you can probably get Citadel because, as you can see, the highlighted Citadel out here, it literally shows you from the hull. There you go. And you get some torps, 8 km, 4 torps if you feel like rushing something. Just please keep in mind your armor isn't too crazy, so don't die by rushing, you know. This is basically a kiting cruiser. Try to play it as such. Champagne, again, this is another ship I believe that didn't really get removed and gets resold a few times, but people told me to add it to the list, so here we are again talking about the Champagne. I believe this is the fastest battleship at tier 8. Might be one of the fastest battleships in the game, actually. And because I think it can hit over 40 knots with speed boost and brisk and stuff. Yeah, well, most of them can. Some of them can do that, like Bourgogne. But this one, actually, I think it's actually faster than Bourgogne. So, there you go. Speed boost. But what's the actual factor of it? The biggest thing about it? Well, hit points is really low. Armor scheme is really bad, right? But there's a ship this kind of reminds me of. It's Slava, right? The guns are, I believe, the same guns as Slava. They're very similar. They're really good dispersion. And you get only six actual shells to fire. But they're really accurate. And, well, it's fast. And I don't know about the concealment. I don't think it's too crazy. It's okay. But the biggest thing about the ship is guns, guns, guns. You get a lot of gun range. 25 km gun range on a tier 8 ship. Plus you get a spotter plane if you so wish. And you get 406mm guns with crazy dispersion. So that's kind of the Champagne. Very good ship. But also very squishy. So do be careful when you play it. Next ship as well. I don't think this one is removed, but I was told to add it. Here we are, Yudachi. Because it's not currently in the store. So here we are. Yudachi, similar to Asashio in a way. Instead of 20 km torps, you get 15 km torps. Slower torps, these get spotted really badly. TRB and smoke. But these torps are not deep water torps, so they don't do crazy damage. They're not fast, and their detection isn't too good. These torps are actually really bad. But you get a bunch of them, so you get that. The guns are really bad on the ship, I believe. 9-second reload. The HP on it isn't too crazy. And the concealment is, well, if we build it right now, I'll show you. Here we go. The concealment is 6.1. So it's not too bad against other tier 7s. I believe Akatsuki has 6.7 detection. So again, it's more of a premium you want for the name and less of the actual ship itself, I would say. Z39. This ship was actually removed, by the way. I believe it was removed. I'm not actually sure for the 100% reason, but I believe the ship was removed because the new tech tree counterpart was just worse. And they wanted to remove this one because it would, you know, seem just like this one's literally just better, which it is. This one's literally just better, I believe, than the Z31, which is the tech tree tier 7. Because this one gets a hydro, the Z31 doesn't. I think the smoke is a bit better on this one. And the guns, I don't really... The guns, the dispersion's worse on this one. That's pretty much it. The concealment 6.1. It's okay. This one's an okay ship. I wouldn't really play it, to be honest. I don't really like playing this one. But yeah. I'm sure there's someone in the world who would enjoy playing the Z39. And if you do, I guess you could let me know in the comment section below. But anyway, that's the Z39. This one, the Belfast. Oh my god. The Belfast? How broken is Belfast, by the way? Originally, this thing was unstoppable, I would say. This thing was turbo broken. Still is, but originally it was even more broken, and let me tell you why. These guns, when released, they used to be able to, with IFHE, pen over 32mm, which means you could pen tier 9 battleships like Alsace everywhere. So you could fight an Alsace and probably just win in a 1v1, because... Or not a 1v1, but let's say you have spotting for it and you can sit and smoke. You'd probably just beat it really quickly because you just IFHE it down and you keep the fire chance and everything. Nowadays, even if you put IFHE on your Belfast, it still won't pen 32. You'd pen the tier 7 battleships, but you lose all the fire chance. So I don't recommend running IFHE anymore on Belfast. The gun range is decent, 15.4. The HP pool is pretty good, 38,000. Biggest thing about this ship is the fact that you can run the concealment system mod 1, which means its concealment goes down to 8.9. It also gets an 8.5 kilometer radar and a hydro and a smoke. So yes, it gets a lot of utility. And it's still really good, don't get me wrong. Against tier 7s and such, and maybe tier 8s, it's still really good. It's just not what it used to be. It's not the original Belfast, where you could literally just walk over tier 9s. But this one's still really good against destroyers and maybe even cruisers, really. So, next we have Nelson. A very ugly ship, I'm sorry to say, but very ugly ship. This one used to be a free XP ship. Biggest weakness being its citadel is gigantic. If I can show it to you here. Here it's gigantic, the citadel, and it's pretty boxy, so if you hit it at pretty much anywhere, you can damage, like, citadel it, especially if you overmatch the ship, which isn't too hard. But yeah, this is the Nelson. What does it get? Well, it gets a super heal, one of the first super heals, I think. It's really slow, though. Its concealment's not crazy. Let me try put a build with a concealment expert on it. Here we go. 13.4, pretty bad, honestly. But relatively slow. 9 guns. You can use... the HE is pretty broken, obviously. It's British HE. The AP is okay. The HP pool's okay. Especially after the fact you have a super heal. So, I mean, you have a lot of HP on this thing. But yeah. Personally, I don't really play it. I don't think it's that fun. But I'm sure someone would enjoy playing this thing. It's not bad. It's just sometimes it can be very frustrating with the dispersion. Or getting overmatched and getting smashed, you know. But that's pretty much it. Haida equipment. So we get Hydro, we get Speed Boost, and we get DCP, and we get Crawling Smoke Generator. Now what is this? If you know what Vampire is like, if you know what the Pert is like, if you know what the Miser is like, if you know what the Hung He is like, you know what the Smoke Generator is like here, in where... it moves with you. But it's not like Italian smoke, where you can move full speed and the smoke moves with you, because that would be too overpowered, because this lasts 90 seconds. This smoke moves with you, but you have to be moving at 1/4 speed, so quarter speed. And whenever you're moving at 1/4 speed, the smoke will sit with you, but you won't be able to spot outside the smoke, obviously, unless people shoot you. So if you're gonna do that, do make sure people are spotting for you. Or you could also use the smoke for your teammates behind you. You could be moving at full speed, setting the smoke behind you, and also allowing your div mate or whoever is behind you, teammate and randoms, sit in the smoke with you whilst you're also spotting for him if you want to play the team play oriented role. Haida's really good, obviously. That's why it was removed. Its concealment is 5.7, which is incredible for tier 7 destroyers. Again, one of the best tier 7 destroyers, this one, honestly, in terms of everything, really. It gets a lot of things going for it. But let's move over to Novorossiysk. I don't know if this one really could be counted as removed. It was just kind of added as a mission chain. But here we are. I added it to the list as requested. It's pretty good. It's like a Giulio Cesare, a tier 6 with less HP. I believe it's actually faster than Giulio. I think the concealment is actually worse, but I believe this one is relatively not more accurate. I think the maximum dispersion is better, but the Sigma's worse, right? I believe that's the case. But another thing about it is the fact that its DCP is Russian style. That's pretty much it, really. It's Russian style DCP, so you get it up really quickly. I think it's actually a pretty good ship still. It's like Giulio with a bit of changes and put at tier 6, and it's still a relatively good ship at tier 6. Its armor scheme is a bit worse than tier 6 battleships, but yeah. I personally enjoy playing it. It's a good ship. Let's move over to T61. This one, of course, removed for being too strong. Malta, you said you're not gonna say that every time. I forget, man. I forget. It's one video. It's been only 33 minutes, and yet I forget. Isn't that crazy? But anyway, this one gets Hydro, Speed Boost, Smoke Screen, German Smoke Screen, so it's actually really bad, but it's Smoke Screen, so you can use it. But the biggest thing about German Destroyer is you can pen armor. You can pen 32mm armor without putting IFHE on. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, that's why, I mean, this got buffed with the Germans, like, overall. Its HP pool is relatively low. Not low compared to tier 6s, but there's some tier 6s which exceed it, obviously, like Igel, for example, was 19,000 or 20,000, I think. I think it's 19,000, but yeah. Concealment 6.1, pretty good for tier 6. The speed is okay. Remember, this is a tier 6 destroyer, so you're not expecting gigantic numbers. But the thing that makes this destroyer strong is the mix of the Hydro, the Smoke, The torps are decent for tier 6, and the guns are really good. So there you go. That's really the mix of everything. It's a good hybrid. It's a very wonderful ship. This is a great ship. I really want to make a video on this ship at some point. So if you really want to see a T61 video, just tell me and we'll start playing it on stream, and I can try get a game for you guys. So, Graf Spee. Why was this one removed? I don't know. I don't think it's that strong. It's okay. I guess it was too strong in that clan season they did. Well, I remember playing that clan season as well with our clan here. But it was honestly really fun playing Graf Spee in that clan season, because it was a ship where you could mitigate some damage because of the heal and the tankiness, and the guns were horrendously bad, but sometimes they'd hit and they'd citadel for gigantic numbers, you know. Like, let's see, was the citadel 8.4k, which against tier 6 cruisers which have no heal, that dumpsters them. So anyway, its hydro is 5.5 kilometer long range for tier 6, 20%. I put this one for to extend the duration of the hydro. It gets a heal, it gets fighter, whatever, and it gets damage con, obviously. But let's see what it gets. Can I put a captain on board? Let's see. Legions, maybe? I don't know. Let's see what we have on it. HP pool, 42,000 with SC. It gets 20-second reload on its guns. These are like similar to Scharnhorst's guns. They're the same caliber. I don't know if they are actually the same guns, but similar caliber, horrible dispersion. Pretty fun ship, though. Pretty fun ship for clan battles. I don't think about randoms, though, because I don't think it's that fun because of the dispersion and stuff, but quite interesting. Its armor isn't too crazy, honestly, but for tier 6, it's workable. Concealment, relatively okay. I think tier 6 actually has a lot of worse ships with worse concealment. Speed is actually really high for a ship that this big, 28.5, but again, it's still slower than a lot of tier 6 cruisers. But that's okay. This is a mix of a cruiser and a battleship, so it's like a battle cruiser, right? That's what it is. But anyway, let's move over to Loewenhardt. This one I'm not really going to talk about as much either. I don't really know anything about this thing. I just have it in my port because I have it. I don't know why, to be honest. AP rockets. HE dive bombers with a circular drop. So if you hit a destroyer with these, as you can see, maximum bomb damage 12,000. So you do I think it's 4,000 per pen or something. It's quite massive for on the destroyer at tier 6. One of the more popular carriers for tier 6 clan battles because of that. Torpedoes are, I think, really bad, right? Really slow torps or something. Really check the speed. Yeah, really slow torps. And then AP rockets. So people liked using this for clan battles because of the AP rockets and the bombs. And I guess the torps are just an extra factor, really and truly. But that's the Loewenhardt. I don't really know what to say about this, because I don't really play carriers. Let's move over to Fujin and Kamikaze R. I'm going to talk about these three at the same time. I don't actually own the Kamikaze R. I own these two, though. And here they are. These are some of the probably most broken ships tier for tier in the game, because, well, their concealment is really good. 5.4 at tier 5, which is incredible. You get really good torpedo reload, as you can see, 47 seconds, 7 kilometers, 68 knots with 14,000 damage. At this tier, I mean, we saw torps at tier 10, which were doing way more, guys. But at this tier, these are incredible torpedoes. The guns are horrible. The HP is horrible, but that's not important, guys. This ship is fast, it has good detection, and this one's a really good torpedo at tier 5. You can really annoy people. Biggest issue of the ship is the fact you have no AA, so against tier 5 carriers, you kind of get dumpstered. And, sorry, not tier 5 carriers, but tier 6 and tier 4 carriers, you kind of get dumpstered, especially since there's a lot of carriers at those tiers. So, remember, your biggest strength in the Fujin, Kamikaze, and Kamikaze R is your concealment. So when a carrier removes that from you, you're going to start suffering a bit. But in a game without the carrier, you're pretty much, honestly, unstoppable in this thing. Pretty much. Next one is Gremyascyhy. This one's wonderful. The biggest issue with it, honestly, is its gun rotation. The gun rotation is actually horrible. It's worse than Kremlin, by the way. But it's a tier 5 destroyer. And back in the day, its biggest gimmick used to be the fact that you could stealth fire with it. But nowadays you can't. If you know what a Gnevny is or an Anshan, this is basically that put down at this tier. Given longer range torps than Gnevny, 8 kilometer torps. And the reload's pretty decent, 4.8. It pens things because, you know, things get penned at this tier. So there you go. This destroyer is still really wonderful. It's not the original Gremyascyhy, but it's still really good. I mean, I can't really recommend it to you guys, but if you have one, I mean, that's pretty much it. Yes, pretty good. Giulio Cesare. Oh my. So this is a Novorossiysk at tier 6. Huh? I was at tier 5, huh? No, but seriously. This one's wonderful. Insanely accurate battleship. Pretty good accuracy. Good, decent HP pool. It's still better HP pool than the Novorossiysk. It actually gets better armor than Novorossiysk. I believe this one's actually slower. Though, it is slower. Slower, 27 knots. And the concealment is... Yeah, it's better. I just don't have concealment on it right now. If I put concealment on it, you can see 11.9 versus the 13.5 Novorossiysk had. Giulio is wonderful. Gorgeous looking ship. If anyone actually got it when it came out, good job. This is really, really wonderful. It's actually a really fun battleship to play. I don't really play it much because I don't play tier 5 too much. But wonderful ship. Very good. So if you have it, be happy you have one. Nikolai I. This one used to be overpowered when it came out, I think. But in recent years, I believe the newer editions, like at tier 4, the Russian battleships pretty much are this thing. So it's nothing really too crazy anymore. But it's still really good. It's a 12-gun battleship. Once I queued in with a tier 5, my div mate, and we got into a tier 7 game, and I still got 100k damage in a tier 7 game with carriers, with tier 6 carriers. And this is a tier 4 battleship, by the way. So it's still really good. Decent armor plating. It doesn't have a Russian DCP, so you have like infinite DCPs basically. 4 heals. Concealment I think is not good. At 12.4, I don't know about this tier really. I don't really understand this tier too much, so don't expect me to talk about this tier too much, guys. But there you go. Nikolai I. Next is Koenig Albert. Again, I don't really know anything about this ship, to be honest, guys. I just included it because, you know, it was on the list. But here you go. This is what it looks like. Battleship at tier 3. People say you can secondary build this thing, but I don't know. Really and truly, I have no idea, guys. It's just what I've been told. Is it good? Well, I assume so because it got removed. But Wargaming seem to add it every summer for the summer sale. I'm not sure if they're going to do it this year again, but it might come back. So keep an eye for that one. And the last one, this one I actually know about. This one's actually a really strong ship at tier 3. The Vampire, the original Vampire, not the Vampire 2. The Vampire is actually, nowadays, you can pretty much use the British version. I don't know what the name is. Weymouth? No, that's a cruiser. The British version of the Vampire is actually the Valkyrie. It's very similar, except I think it has British smoke. This one has American smoke, so long duration, so you can sit inside it for a long time. This one only has 3 torps, and it has decent guns, really good guns for the tier. And I think the concealment is pretty good, and the speed is okay. The HP is nothing too crazy. It looks interesting. I mean, there's not much going on here. It's a tier 3 destroyer. I can't really talk about it too much, but there you go. That's the list. Honestly, maybe I rushed it a bit too much, but I think I spoke about each ship as much as I could. If you have any questions about any of these ships, guys, or if you really want to see a video on one of these ships, ask in the comments or something, or come on Discord or on Twitch and ask me some questions. I'll try my best to answer you. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Oh, should I do like I normally do and say which ones I actually enjoy playing nowadays? Sure. I'll tell you. So, ships I enjoy playing nowadays are Smaland. So, Smaland, USS Black, Missouri, Friesland, Belfast is good. Novorossiysk is good. Giulio's good. T-61's good. Those are the ships I would actually personally keep playing nowadays, if I could. But, you know, well, I can, obviously, but I don't really play them because, you know, sometimes we want to play the newer ships or tier 10s or more interesting normal tier 10s. But anyway, ships that are still really good overall, of course, that are honorable mentions: Smolensk, Thunder, Smaland, Musashi, you know, Benham, Black. It's pretty much all of these are really good ships, guys. Really good ships. So if you actually have these, be happy you do, because they got removed. Some of them might actually get nerfed in the future, but we'll just wait and see. Maybe not the premium ships here, but the actual, like, you know, special ships might actually at tier 10. But anyway, that's pretty much the list, guys. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please do leave a like or a comment in the description if you enjoyed. And, you know, again, if you have any questions, just keep them in the comments, or come on Discord, or come on Twitch. And if you want the builds, full builds on anything tier 8, so this champagne or over, or any tech tree or premium tier 8, or over, so tier 9, tier 10, tier 8, any class except for carriers because I don't build those, come on my Discord, guys. Link is in the description. And thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. It was actually a long video, 45 minutes almost. But again, like, you guys asked for this video, and here it is. This was basically intended for people who already own the ship and just would like some general information about the ship, or for future people who want to get crates, like Christmas crates, and are eligible to get these ships and have no idea what's going on about each one and what the abilities are of each one. But if you, like I said, if you want to see a full-on video, for example, about Missouri or USS Black or Alaska, come and tell me. Just tell me, hey man, can you please do a video on this ship? I would love to try and make a video on each ship, but again, it's gonna take a while, so I'll try to do it by request. But anyway, I'll see you in the next video, guys. Big fan.